Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zeros on Heroes Collateral Benefit in the year 2025.
The distant future.
In the distant future. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Mercadal. With me, as always, is...
Hey, Will Watkins.
Hey, it's Will Watkins, my friend. Hello. It's been a week.
Haven't seen you since last... oh, God.
You have to finish the thought, otherwise the dads will descend and finish it for you. You got the dad joke of it all. Haven't seen you since last year. Haven't seen you. It's in a year.
I'm surprised that joke kept going past 2001 because it was like, haven't seen you since last millennium. It's like, yo, you topped it. You can't.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
You can't beat it anymore.
It's like everything after that was everything after Avengers Endgame. It's just like
it's been multiversally.
Hey, man, it's just.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's still fine. It's
cheers to dad jokes never progressing, and it's kind of comforting, right? Like that feels comforting that dad jokes like stick around. The whole even the looks. Like the look of the cargo shorts, t-shirt tucked into the cargo shorts, and New Balances with the socks pulled up, like solid dad looks still persist. I
am amazed how dad shoes and crew socks are cool now.
They are cool. Thank you, Gen Z.
The New Balance. New Balance is like the coolest shoe. And
did I tell you back when I went to Japan a few years ago, like 2017, I want to say, when I went to Japan, New Balances were like the hot shoe in Japan. And I was walking around, I was like, why is everyone wearing New Balance over here? And it was like the hot new shoe. Everyone had to have it. And I was like, do they not know that it's just dads? And I was wrong. They were ahead of the game. Look at us now, everyone wearing New Balance.
I think in the same way that I get upset at seeing people claim to be Star Wars fans or comic book fans or any nerd culture thing where it's like that's popular now. There is a bit of resentment in me because when I was a kid, New Balance were not cool. New Balance was one of the only shoes that had wide width shoes.
Oh, brother!
Like yes. Nike was now it's better, but Nike was always very narrow, and so the only shoes I could wear were like New Balance. Yeah. So it's like, oh man, and I used to get made fun of for wearing New Balance, and I didn't want to wear the New Balance, but it's like this is the only shoes that fit, and now it's like it's the cool shoe.
It's in spite of all. This is an example of like the stuff that we built our lives around as you're growing into adulthood and in your adolescence means nothing. Nothing. It means absolutely, because it will change, and what was uncool will be cool. When I was a giant teenager, heavy, thick boy, and I did not. Everything was all about being rail thin and 6-pack abs and all that stuff. I'm sure that's still popular and it still has its place. But then there was all the dad bod trend, and I was like, has this always been? Is this all? Because that would have saved me a lot of mental energy and just sadness in my teen years. But yeah, the idea that now all that is old is new again. Everybody is dressing like the late 90s again. It's always just a testament to don't hold on to anything too tightly.
You look like somebody like Billie Eilish who looks like she's a member of Terror Squad or something with the baggy clothes, and it's like
big t-shirt Billie Eilish. The irony, of course, is, did you see this happened I don't remember how long ago it was, but they opened this fancy shoe store and they invited a bunch of influencers out in New York. It was in New York. It was like in this like a fancy pop-up in like Soho or something like that. And it was like this luxury brand. And everyone was like, ooh, this is amazing. The influencers, like, you can tell the quality of the shoe and these are beautiful designs and da-da-da-da. And it was a scam. It was PAYLESS shoes. It was called PAYLESS or something like that. And it was like, oh, fuck you. It's PAYLESS. It's the PAYLESS shit that I grew up wearing because that's what my mom could afford, buying PAYLESS Pro Wings
Yeah.
That was the name of the model of Pro Wings. I don't know if those are still around, but they have to be like collector's items, like 80s Pro, like Payless shoes, discount shoe styles.
Yeah.
And then they basically were like, "Hey, all you influencers are like, you don't know shit about shit because these are all like cheap shoes."
Yeah.
So
I used to love Payless because it was back then. I don't know if they still have it, but it was the Payless BOGO. They were like one of the first, might have been the first to do the BOGO, buy one get one, and my mom loved it because she had two boys, so buy one pair of shoes, get the other kid pair of shoes, and then I would always get the hand me downs of my brother's shoes. So it was like my brother would be like trying on shoes, and I'd be like, yeah, what about those ones will look good on you? But it was like, I'm like thinking ahead.
I'm
like,
getting them to you in about a year. So give me the.
But then he would get the ones with it was like the knockoff Nike pumps for the little ball on the toe.
Yeah, the coolest.
I was like, ah.
Do you think that if we had been average sized, you were a pretty average sized child?
No, I was quite large.
You were quite large as well?
Okay. I was 10 pounds, 7 ounces and 22 inches long as a baby.
From birth. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was somewhere in the 8-pound range. I don't remember exactly that, but it feels like a big baby these days.
My mom always always has to remind me that I was born in Martin County, Florida, and at the time it was a lot of migrant community. Little Guatemalans were having babies there, and I was the only white baby, and every other baby was like 5 pounds.
Jeez,
and I was just this giant, like Stay Puft Marshmallow looking thing.
It's like that. What's that meme? It's like, why does the larger baby not just eat all the other babies? Enough preamble, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Collateral Benefit, Zeros on Heroes, Collateral Benefit. We didn't do the intro fully.
Yeah, sometimes I'll forget that people are listening to this, and it's not just...
Yeah, people are watching us in the future. Some people are watching us in the past, and I struggle to figure that out because that would involve time travel, and I would love to know how you did it. God knows I'd love to travel back into the 90s and buy some of those Payless imitation Nike Reebok pumps.
It's like, oh, you want to go back and invest in Bitcoin? No.
I'm going to Payless shoes.
I'm going to go to Palessi.
Did you thank you everybody for watching us, Zeros on Heroes. You can follow us at all social media platforms at zerosonheroes.com. Follow us at Mike Mercadal, at William A. Watkins, no longer with the one. You reclaimed your identity on all social media to be the same.
Yeah.
All you got to do is add Blue Sky, which Zeros on Heroes is on Blue Sky, technically.
I keep forgetting about Blue Sky. I need to tap in.
I don't know. Look, in this show, we talk a lot about our physical health, but we talk about how our mental health is collaterally benefited by our attempts to improve our physical health. Limiting my access to Twitter has been incredibly beneficial to my mental health, but also it's starting to seep into all the other social media platforms where the idea of a comment section has become detrimental to my health.
Yeah,
I've yet to get into a comment section where I'm like, ooh, these people are making good points. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. Everywhere but on TikTok. On TikTok, I do see some solid comments. I'm not sure if it's because of the algorithm is based on different things. But every other, like Instagram, Twitter, I haven't been on Facebook in months. I only go on there for short bursts. But, man, it is... And we'll talk about it because I think I know why. I think I know why the problem is. We'll get into our unified theories of improving our lives, because that's what this show's about. This show's about improving our bodies, our minds, and our communities around us in whatever way, because it's the triangle. You fix one, or if you handle two, the third one improves. You handle any of the two, the others will have to improve. Mm-hmm. And this is the time of year when so many people, be it cliche, be it cheesy, be it almost like a tropey, like vicious cycle of who cares?
Yeah,
the intent is good to improve to seek out improvements, whether it's a New Year's resolution or not. We are not to judge. We're here to help.
What am I liking about I saw it a little bit the past 2 years, but I like it a lot this year. Is anytime somebody's like posts a meme about the new people at the gym, blah blah blah. Like every comment underneath is like, "Hey man, it's okay for them to be new. You should be encouraging them." And it's like, it's cool that they're like pushing back against this old trend. You know, we've been talking about it over the
Again,
past few episodes, but
this
it's like it's
show is
cool
about
that it's
that.
like it's more community building now. And it's like
Yeah.
encouraging. It's not just like these guys don't know how to work out. And it's like, well, fucking help them.
Yeah. This show started because of like the idea that gym bro culture is different. Like we reached out to each other. Again, we are not like, we are what I would say victims of toxic masculine culture.
Oh yeah.
We were not, we were soft boys forced into a hard, toxically masculine life where we're just like, man, I don't need to be all that. We were just blessed genetically to be bigger than average. So they it was foisted upon us. But realistically, that culture shifted at some point. Gym bros just kind of became the guys that are excited that you're there and working out. There was like a real big push, there was a subreddit that got banned, and it was called Fat People Hate. And there was a lot of hate subreddits going around a few years ago, like I would say about a decade ago. And there was a lot of people just hating on, and that's what they called it. It was like this subreddit where they would just like point out, and it was gross. It was genuinely like a problem. But also like certain aspects of it were kind of a tough love kind of thing of like, sometimes there's a little bit too much embracing of non-improvement as self-care or all these things, where there's an innate balance to anyone trying to improve their life, where as soon as the wave of that like edgelord bullshit that still persists a little in the comedy communities that we are tangentially connected to, that the real energy of it all is, hey man, we're all just trying. And if you're trying, you're already miles ahead of the people who are just talking shit.
Yeah.
So when you go to the gym in the last decade or so, I don't feel the negativity. All I see is like, either people are like Joey Swole or these people who are like embracing new people. When you see somebody who's overweight on a treadmill and they're trying to lose some weight, or they're lifting or whatever, and it's like, well, that's the whole point of this place. If you're in the gym and you see somebody working out to improve their life, it's like, it doesn't matter what level they are at. That's the whole point of this place, is to provide a place for that to happen.
It's funny because I do notice when personally when it's almost kind of this weird shift where nowadays the less fit you are, the more gym bros will be protective of you.
Yes.
And will encourage you. But then it's like, the more fit you are, like when you guys like see each other every day at the gym or whatever, you guys are both obviously very capable muscle building people. You'll start to be like, hey, what's up, you fat sack of shit? But it's just like,
in Spanish, I never really know how this word translates to, but like in the Cuban culture I grew up in, that's a thing called confianza, where you have like a confidence in someone, a trust in someone, where you know what, like there's, where you can cross certain lines, and that there's no like insult meant. It's like busting chops,
busting balls,
busting balls, whatever you would point that out as. The irony is that if you have not built up the trust in that other person, then it is infinitely, it's like the opposite. It's like super insulting. It's like if one of you doesn't realize, oh, I'm just busting chops, it's like, hey, we're not there yet, man.
Yeah.
Then it's like an even worse kind of thing than if you were a total stranger or whatever. But the idea that at some point you can cross over into an insulting each other friendship, does feel it does feel super like broy.
Yeah.
It's either the gayest thing you've ever said to another man, as two straight men, or the most insulting shit you'll ever hear. And it's just like dudes like struggling, especially guys like our age, struggling or we're not the same age, but from a certain generation where we're just like, where you're like, I don't know how to properly express emotions, so it's gonna come out how it's gonna come out, man. And you're like, but I love you, but I can't say that out loud, so I'm gonna call you a fat sack of shit or something. Or go overboard and start like talking about your dick or whatever. You know, like it's such a weird like bridge to cross.
It's funny because like when gym bros like talk to each other, you can say the phrase like "nice calves," but it can be either said complimentary or like derogatory, busting balls, like "hey, nice calves."
Yeah,
and it's like meaning like you have no calves, or it's like, dude, you got great calves. That's a very hard muscle to train.
Man, you sent them a video about something about receipts that some dude thought he was getting hit on or something was getting hit on or whatever, and he ended up like calling me. I was like, well, you do look, you have nice legs or whatever. Like he's like, it was something, but I forget what it was, but never mind. I don't even know why I brought it up, but it's true. That is a certain point.
So I guess the message
you are judging them by their body.
If you are new to the gym, it's not like the late 90s. It's very like welcoming, like, oh, cool, what's up, man? Hey, you need help? Let me know. If not, I'll leave you alone, let you do your thing. But if you need any help, holler at me.
Okay. So we're doing this. It is January 5th at the time of recording. We are New Year's resolution in the height of New Year's resolution time. Lots of people came, last week we talked about our goals, not resolutions, but like our themes, our thesis statements for 2025. But a lot of people do, the traditional New Year's resolutions. You are a much more experienced gym fit, like working out person than I am in terms of like going to the gym, bodybuilding tight style workouts. All of my gym existence prior to this sort of thing was athletics based, football, martial arts, like getting strong, getting fast, getting flexible, getting, all these things that were very functional.
Yeah.
And
so, like I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
As I almost like, I forget what it's like to be new at the gym. So sometimes I even catch myself in oftentimes people ask me at the gym, hey, what's that exercise you're doing? I'm like, well, this is the angle. And it's like, oh, I'm doing it from like the standpoint of like, this is like optimized to my training level. But it's like, hey, maybe I'll just, just do this. That works the bicep. But it's like, I know the exact angle and, so I forget what it's like to be new at the gym. But I know over the past year, you've put in a ton of work. You text me and you let me know what you're working on. What if somebody was, because you're more closer to being a newbie than I am. I think you're almost intermediate now. You're almost intermediate.
Again, because it's less about, I'm newer at the other things that didn't involve lifting heavy to hurt myself.
Yeah.
In that mentality of just like the youthful athletics of like, who cares, man? I'm just going to heal and then I'll go right back to it. Now I'm a little older and it's like my mentality has to be different. So I'm new in different concepts, or different concepts are new to me. So like as you've been helping me in these kind of workouts, I'm not a stranger. I'm not like a novice. I don't know. I'm not intermediate in the bodybuilding side of things, but my workouts are always a little different because it's about, injury recovery, injury maintenance, because of my back. I have, back injuries, and also old man stuff. Like I'm just trying to not get diabetes. Like that's like kind of the goal, the workout goals, realistically. You are of a more advanced bodybuilding muscle, building approach that is a little different. Now, what was your question in terms of
my question to you
versus...
is if you were to give, I would say if you were to give yourself advice on the best way to start out, or any tips or things you wish you had done when you got back into fitness, what were some things like, to tell somebody who's like new to the gym or wants to start at the gym or start a workout program, like what advice would you give them? Like, would you take it easy, long warm-ups? What would you say?
The one thing so there's two things that really kind of motivate me just to physically show up to the workout environment. I mean, because it doesn't have to be a gym. It doesn't have to necessarily be that you have to your mindset for exercise. There's no other way to say it, like physical activity. With the because a lot of people are physically active when they go do some sort of activity, but it's not fitness oriented. This is like, no, I'm doing this activity to get better at this activity over the long term.
Yeah.
There's two concepts that really kind of helped me out. The incline, the 12-3-30, the 12% incline at 3 miles an hour for 30 minutes, being
on the
like
treadmill.
On the treadmill, as much is plenty cardio. It's like good cardio. Even if I just do that, the fact that it's incline and I can feel like my legs churning and my calves and and it's not running. I wasn't built for running. That's one thing that really kept me away from doing cardio. And in the past, I was the guy that would like jump rope for like 45 minutes when I was doing martial arts and stuff like that. But so now it's so much more impact on my back that suddenly realizing like, oh, there isn't one way to get your heart going. Your heart goes. You just got to get it there. That concept. And then when you introduce the idea of reps in reserve to me, the idea for people who don't know, what are reps in reserve? Just so that
it's basically how many more reps you could have done. So let's, for instance, I always tell people do like 10 to 15 reps, and if you hit 10 and you're like, I'd probably squeeze out 2, but then the second one would be like, oh no, I'm failing. That you can stop at 10, and then you got 2 reps in reserve.
We were talking, and you shared a video with me of Mike Israetel, Dr. Mike, that talked about the reps in reserve, that you should leave 3 in the tank, right?
Yeah.
And that concept kind of blew my mind a little bit, because I've always been a lift heavy till failure thing. High school athletics, football, but get strong. Yeah, it's very like macho competitive. You push yourself to the point of injury. That's not going to help me now in my 40s. Are you crazy? But knowing I got 3 in the tank, so suddenly it becomes less about the number and more about feeling your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like if I get to 10 and I can't get to 15, I'm now having to pay more attention to what it is that my body is telling me. It's not about the number. It's not about getting to a point of tiredness, so that the next day I'm not incredibly sore.
Yeah.
That was such a big deal, because I can't tell you how many times I've been motivated to start working out again, do my old mentality lifting with my brain still thinks I'm 18. My body is not, but I will lift it like I'm 18. And then my body will act like a man in his 40s and be like, hey, you need to lay down. Like, you're hurt. That feeling will prevent me from going back to the gym the next day.
Yeah. It's a difference between doing 1 leg workout a week or doing 3 leg workouts a week.
Right.
Because then you're going to have more cumulative volume over the entire week than if you had just blown your load in one day. So now you're going to have more potential for muscle growth, or more potential for calorie burning, whatever your goal is.
Whatever the benefit of lifting more cumulative weight is, you will have gotten that. Yeah. You will have lifted, and and in my mind, my joints are healthier, and because I'm less concerned about ego.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to load on the weight, or I'm more comfortable just lifting a load, and I'm actually paying more attention to my body's limitations, which is ironically helping my form, because a lot of people will lift heavy and their form will suck. Then they're wondering why they're not making progress, or they're wondering why they hurt all the time. Oh, why is why are my knees hurting? It's like, well, you've been doing this one thing wrong. You've built a bad habit. Now you have to overcome the hurdle of unlearning the bad habit. Fuck it, I'm not going to the gym anymore. That's what happens to a lot of people. Another thing that you didn't mention, but it's also kind of tied in there. It's very hard to diet and exercise starting at the same time.
Oh, I have to do it at the same time.
What do you mean?
Like if I'm working out, I'll be more inclined to eat healthier.
Interesting.
where it's like, all right, I worked out, I'm motivated now to eat the chicken, rice, broccoli. But if I was like, I don't feel like going to the gym today, and I skip the gym, and I'm like, let me get some pizza on the way to work or whatever, and it's like, and then it just, it snowballs, and
Now,
you know,
is this our own personal mental health issues rearing their ugly head, or is it something that you've maybe because you're a more experienced gym goer that the second you've done this so many times, this is a routine for you that it's all tied together. My thinking, I'm sorry, it was more rhetorical, but my thinking is the idea as somebody who struggles with getting derailed quickly, that I'm not used to doing this activity as successively as you have.
mm-hmm.
If I'm just trying to remove barrier, the second I start working out, I'm the hungriest I've ever been, and I'm making terrible. The more hungry you are, the poorer the decisions presented to you are. You know what I mean? Like you're like, well, I could eat, a bit, this healthy, lean meat and chicken and rice or whatever, or there's this giant large pizza that's just hot and fresh or whatever the Little Caesars motto is. The idea being that the second I finish a workout, I'm not motivated in that mindset. I'm immediately trying to comfort the injuries or comfort the hardship, or I'm a victim of the whole treat yourself mentality, and like kind of like how much it can hurt you to just be like, well, I earned I worked out once, I earned this large pizza,
Yeah, I used to do that, but I think it taps into what we've talked about before, how everybody focuses on either the diet and the exercise of fitness and health, but to me the biggest thing has always just been the psychology of it. Yes. Where it's like, it's either the habit building that you're consistently going to the gym, or it's the just the mental state that you're in, or the punishment for the food you eat, the mental punishment I've talked about, where it feels like I have to do an act of contrition for eating the food and all that. But it is, I think it is, just pointing out the difference between you and I is how we approach diet and exercise. Everything is individualistic when it comes down to it. There can be generalizations, but it's like ultimately it's your life experiences have led you to this. Your genetic profile makes you crave certain things. One thing that helped me a lot, because you do get hungry. If especially if you do a heavy leg day, or you do like hardcore cardio hit or something like that, where it's like there was this used to be this myth called the anabolic window, which is like 30 minutes after you work out, you have to consume protein, or else you're gonna lose your gains. And it turns out that was just all bullshit. It's all cumulative within a 24-hour period of that's your calorie intake of protein and macros and shit. But it's also like, it does help satiate you when you're done working out if you chug a protein shake, or I'll eat a protein bar, or it's just like, not to cite junk food, but Snickers is right. Like, you're not you when you're hungry. Like, you need to have some sort of satiate, where it's a handful of nuts, or it's the protein bar is really good. Get one of the low sugar ones, whatever it is, or if if your goal is to build as much muscle as possible, get the high sugar ones. Yeah, but ultimately, it's just feeding that hunger with healthy, smart foods.
I guess my focus there is like a more abstract idea that there will be as a new person, there's the motivation to do all of the things, and then you burn out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'm trying to work out, but I'm always hungry, and then I eat bad food, and then I feel guilty, so I have to go work out, and and then so in my mind, one of the things that benefits me as an individual is setting. I read the book 4-Hour Body years ago, and it really kind of helped me turn a corner just in the mentality of it. The way I don't really subscribe to all of that guy's things now, like Tim Ferriss or whatever. But there was an aspect of mentally adjusting to like where you're setting yourself up for the win. It's never going to happen if you feel like you're forcing something. And then when you do finally start to make that turn, you want to do the least amount of things that will get you the most amount of result. And for me, what that was prep, like setting myself up for the win in terms of like mentally saying, hey, my goals this week are just going to be getting to the gym. I'm physically going to show up. I'm going to do something, even if it's just the treadmill, and then I'm going to leave. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not committing to this thing. Mentally, I'm setting myself up that I'm not setting the bar so high that it seems insurmountable, or like I'm not gonna get there. And because the goal is ultimately yours. You decide, right? Yeah. No one will choose. It's like when I quit smoking. For 5 years, I haven't smoked a cigarette in 5 years.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it happened in December. It was 5 years, and that I can't tell you how many times people tell me to quit, and I'll be like, yeah, okay. And then the second I got it in my head, and it was my choice, I was like, oh yes, now for some reason something clicks, and now's the time. If someone is in that state right now, as the New Year's resolution on stuff, the idea of maybe it's not diet and exercise at the same time or whatever it is. This is also a very important time to listen to your own body in terms of, and to set up your own systems of motivation and reinforcement, systems of discipline. Like those are kind of like, I always used to joke around that now that I've been diagnosed with ADHD, it's suddenly very clear to me that I never struggled with motivation. I struggled with discipline.
Yeah. The executive dysfunction. Yeah.
Yeah. And suddenly they put labels on it, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. And then I'm like looking back in my mental Rolodex of like how many times that shit applied to me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's real. The idea that whatever systems you put in place for yourself, make them achievable goals that you have plans to build on. You're not planning, like if I tell you to run a marathon tomorrow, you're not going to be able to do it. But if I tell you, hey, start doing the things that will get you to be able to run a marathon, well, guess what? You're going to be able to run a 10K soon. There will be milestones that you can get to. So if you were able to get to the gym 2 weeks in a row, 5 workouts a week, hey, maybe now you've built up this routine where the workout itself is not such a hardship that you can't also now add dieting or changing your diet, removing something from your diet. Maybe you will naturally feel more motivated, like you said, to focus on, hey, I'm screwing myself over by eating pizza after this workout. I'm not going to do that. And it'll start the ball rolling. But whatever you do, have that mentality of like, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Because most people quit after 2 weeks or something like that, by the end of the month or something like that.
Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice I'd ever heard was the best diet to be on people. Oh, you should give me an Watkins and keto, whatever. The best diet is the one you're going to stick to. The best workout program is the one you're actually going to do.
Right.
Like, oh, should I do HIIT? Should I do bodybuilding? Whichever one is fun, whichever one you enjoy, that's the one you're going to keep doing. Yeah. If you like long distance running, I hate that shit. But if you like it, fucking do it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things too, you hinted on was not just goal setting. Like, wow, what's your goal? But it's also the reason for the goal. Because people, a lot of it is imposed by society. But it's like, what's the reason you're doing this? What's the reason behind the goal? Because it's like, I want to get in shape. And it's like, well, why do you want to get in shape?
What kind of shape? That's a different kind of thing.
Do you want to be a bodybuilder? Do you want to be this? Do you want to be? And it's, a lot of times, especially when you get to a certain age, it's, I want to get healthy. And it's like, well, why do you want to get healthy? And it's like, well, I kind of want to walk my daughter down the aisle, and I have type 2 diabetes, and I want to be able to pick things up without grunting, and it's like, well, that's the reason. Remember the reason why you're doing this it isn't, I want to. Society says I should be healthy, or society says I should be fit. It's like, I want to be a functional human being that can do things.
The same way that I did not quit smoking until, like, it's not like people weren't telling me to do it. You know what I mean? Like everyone was like, hey, you should quit smoking. It was that there was a moment where I was like, oh, right. I am, because I laugh at it now, but it's genuinely like, oh, I am paying a lot of money to poison myself a little bit. No, I'm turning my lungs
Yeah.
into like jerky. I'm dehydrating my lungs and turning them into like a like a literally like you would smoke a brisket.
Yeah.
That's what, and I was like, there's a moment of clarity where you're like, oh, it wasn't society, it wasn't anything. It was like finally my brain like got hit that groove, and suddenly now I'm like on a track where I'm like, oh right. And I still miss like the idea of smoking. Like it's one of those things of like that is probably the only true addiction I have in my life that I've that the which is, I don't really drink anymore or anything like
Yeah.
that, but it's not, that one was, drinking was like, man, whatever. But smoking was 100%. I still see it now, where it's like I watch a movie and I'll see someone light up a cigarette and I'm like, oh man, that looks good. Like it's like, oh man, I'm remembering, and my body, and then I'll just have to be like, oh, I just don't do it anymore. But there's still that in my brain. The irony of it also comes from when I'm working out, or I've had a good week of working out, and I'll have a day off where I'm just like melting into my couch and I don't want to move. And then I'll have to do one, and I'm like, oh, why did I ever change this? This is exactly where I want to be. I don't want to. And then I'll like have to get up to go to the bathroom, and I'll have that moment of like, 43 years old, a body, and I'll be like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
And it's all just personal reminders. Has nothing to do about society, has nothing to do with vanity, it's literally that feeling that you get, that you like, oh, I it doesn't take much to feel a little better than this, so I should do that.
Yeah,
And then a
that
little
is
more,
interesting,
and then a little
where it's
more.
like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. But then like after the gym, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I went to the gym. There's the
Yeah.
feeling of like, oh yeah, I feel good that I made myself do that. Let me ask you this, because was the smoking was a New Year's resolution thing?
No, the smoking was, I was having sleep apnea. And I was
Oh.
having like problems sleep, and then they were like, do you smoke? And I was like, yes, a lot. And they were like, well, that makes it worse. And
Yeah.
like you and I was like, it wasn't even the smoking that was the point. It was
Mhm.
the other stuff. And they're like, yeah, smoking's bad for, it'll make you have more sleep apnea. And I was like, oh well, okay. Got to do that, like, and then ironically, that's when everything else kind of clicked in. Of like, of course there's going to be collateral damage,
Collateral benefits.
but no, like in terms of doing the wrong thing, there will be
Oh yeah,
collateral
yeah.
damage in other aspects that you're not realizing. And then once that kind of unlocked in my brain that, oh, it's not just eating fatty food or gaining weight, it's also like the other stuff that comes with being heavier and not as mobile, and can't, like, if I'm going on vacation and suddenly everyone's like, oh, we're gonna go on this hike to the top of this mountain. When I went to Hawaii, that was a real problem for some of the people we were with. We went on this really long hike, and we got at the end,
The
because I had,
altitude.
well, not just the altitude, just like the incline hike of the elevation, the distance, whatever they call it, the elevation change in the hike. Because it may have been like 3 miles hike, but it was like
The steepness.
yeah, like whatever the incline is. I don't know why I can't remember the word right now for the life of me. But they had to stop and turn around. Some of the people we were with, they had to stop. And then when we got to the end, it was like straight out of Jurassic Park with the freaking waterfalls and this rainforest, and it was just like a beautiful experience. And I'm like, man, had I not taken the initiative to drop some weight, do some walking, build up this potential, I would have been in the boat as those people that had to turn around. I would have missed out on this experience. And suddenly that was like another rejuvenator, another like reinvigorating idea, a reaffirmation of like, oh, having a body that can, like that you can train to do this, which there are certain people who can't. I don't want to be ableist and say that everyone has to do this, or if you but in that moment, it was like a realization, like, oh, I would have missed out on something.
Yeah.
Whatever that is should be part of the thinking that goes into like, oh, it's more than just fitness, it's life experience, it's being able to do more with your body.
One of the things I'm very happy with that is coming up in all this health talk, fitness talk, and everything
Mm.
is the concept of quality of life,
Yeah.
and that it's not just like how long you live, but it's the experiences you have along the way, the
Mm.
ability to do things, and it kind of because on one hand it's the person who smokes, sits on the couch all day, never exercises, they're not going to live a long life. But on the other hand, you got like that dude who's like getting his son's blood injected into him, and he only eats a certain
Wait,
amount of.
what are you talking about?
Oh, this dude, Brian, whatever. He just had a Netflix documentary about him, but he's like, he was like one of the founders of PayPal or some shit, and he became a multi-millionaire, and he's just spending tons of money and treatments, hyperbaric chambers, and he has this whole regimen out, and he never eats sugar and does all this stuff, and he's like, I
Tech
want to,
mogul
yeah,
Brian Johnson
yeah,
gets blood from son.
yeah.
Ugh.
And every interview or every
What?
documentary piece I've seen on him, he's just, I don't want to live like that. Obviously, he's trying to live as long as he can, but that life that he's living is fucking horrible.
Ooh. I'm sorry. I'm reading this for the first time, and it is wild.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah, he says he wants to, live forever. He wants to live as long as possible.
Oh, wait. I think I've seen that. This is a guy who thinks he's going to live. He does think he's going to live forever. Like
Yeah.
he thinks that he's like going to be, oh, okay. I saw an interview with him. He didn't look great in the interview. I was like,
No.
you already kind of look a little fucked up. Like, he looked unwell.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of stuff like, man, it's a tragic story, but how many times do you hear about someone who's never smoked a day in their life and they die of lung cancer? How many times fucking Andy Kaufman, his whole situation, that guy was a vegetarian and ate healthy and was super, whatever.
And then you get some Jamaican lady who's like 115 and she's like, oh, I eat bacon and red stripe every day.
Yeah. Man,
also, I'm not just making that character up. I saw the interview with this lady who was like, I eat bacon, I drink red stripe, and it's like, God damn, fry bread.
There's an inherent kind of like, that's like as a healthcare professional, you see all kinds of crazy shit all the time, and there are people like, I saw that there was like a patient in the bed, and then there in the room with us was like a 90-something-year-old mother, and the lady who was the patient was like, I want to say in her 60s, or grandma. It was like some huge age disparity, and this lady, she was perfectly fine, just kind of sitting there, like visually, like didn't really. She was able to get up and walk around. She had no like mobility problems. And then her, I want to say granddaughter or 60-something-year-old, whatever granddaughter, was like the patient who was all jacked up. Now I don't know what the miles that people put on their body are, and I don't know any of that stuff, but that lady, we were like, "Oh, you're 96." And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What do you do?" She's like, I smoke one cigarette a day. I drink clear liquor in the morning and brown liquor in the evening." And we were all just kind of like, "Damn!" Like whether it's true or not, we were like, "What a fun, what a cool lady." But also, I've seen people who smoke every day, pack a day for their whole life, and they die of getting hit by a bus or some shit.
Yeah.
And then you see somebody like an Andy Kaufman who's never done any smoking or anything, and they get lung cancer. So it's like, I'm not saying it's random. I'm not saying there's not things you should do to prevent yourself, but there is a matter of like going too far the other way, where it becomes obsessive, right? We're not all multi-billionaires who can inject their son's blood.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
There was I watch a lot of those like Men's Health or Women's Health has these where it's like what I eat in a day, and it's like celebrities talk about like what they eat and stuff. And there was one with Kelly Ripa that like haunts me, where she says her snack is like 4 almonds or something weird like that, and like on her birthday she allows herself to eat an M&M, like an M&M.
So like
Jesus Christ. Even that guy Jeff Cavalier, Athlete X, is a very popular channel, and he says, well, once a year on my birthday I allow myself to eat carrot cake. And it's like, hey man, you can live your life.
Yeah. At a certain point, we on this show subscribe to the idea that you are doing this to have a better quality of life. If you're constantly in the restrictive mode where you're like, I don't think it's sustainable. You have to have some type of
Yeah.
different mindset to be able to go that far, because I don't think it's sustainable. But the truth being, like, no lifestyle is sustainable because we all die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
Like, some sooner than others, but we all, like, it's life is not sustainable.
there's this other his name is also Dr. Mike, but he's an actual like
Yeah.
physician, and he had such a great point that made me change my philosophy on something. I had the Apple Watch, and I had a Fitbit, and it shows how many steps you took and what your sleep patterns are, and your how many heartbeats while you sleep and all this stuff, HRV and all that. And he said that's all for entertainment. And he said he noticed something with a lot of his patients where they were saying, my tracker said I slept 6 hours, but I wanted to sleep 7 hours. And he's like, you realize how much anxiety you're giving yourself over how much sleep you are or aren't getting. If you were to take that off and just allow yourself to sleep, like, don't track that. It's
I'm a hypocrite in that I don't think I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say that this shit affects my mental health, having the watch on.
Yeah.
Because I had to turn off a bunch of notifications. I have to put it to do not disturb when I'm home with my wife, because it was constantly distracting from whatever we were doing.
Yeah.
And I'm already like this close to being addicted to my phone. I mean, we're there. Like, we're close. Like, I'm right there. So it's in an effort to like reduce that. My watch is more of a time tracking tool, like what it's supposed to be for workouts and sleep or whatever, and just alarms and stuff like that, because it vibrates on my wrist instead of alarms because I have an unusual sleep schedule, so I sleep at different times and all that stuff, to not disturb my wife, like to not you have, like any tool, you have to figure out how it fits into your own life.
Yeah.
Like the gym, you have to figure out a way to make it work in your own routine. Otherwise, it's not going. You're and talking about New Year's resolutions, you're the more experienced gym goer, so you have, like, starting out is a distant memory for you.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm at that stage where I start and stop a lot, but with a trending towards continue, like more.
Yeah.
For somebody who's just starting now this year, like somebody who's literally like their first day at the gym is in January 2025, because, man, I got to do something. All I can say is that even if there will be that momentary discomfort of a change that has nothing to do with physicality. It's literally just a changing your mind. There is physical discomfort to changing your mind. And I think to deny that and say that, oh, you're going to feel great, you're going to be healthy, you're going to do stuff, to deny it is also, it's going to fuck people up and get them not to continue a thing. If you lie to someone, it's like, hey man, I feel like I should be feeling this this positivity that everyone says they feel when they go to the gym. It's like, no, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just got to be mechanical. You go, you do the thing. Gravity does what gravity does to the weight. You do what you do to the weight. And there's nothing happy about it. But you will have done more for yourself afterwards. It's like brushing your teeth or going to the dentist. It's like, like wiping your ass after you shit. Those are things that if you don't do it, complications happen. Like it's easy. Eventually, sometimes it's just mechanical. And then over time, there will be better days and more better days than worse days. Like you talk about DOMS a lot, the delayed muscle soreness of like when you're starting out. Yeah, man, you're going to get sore. You're going to get sore. You have to go through the process. Reps in reserve was the big deal for me in terms of starting over and over again, because it's like, all right, it's not about the weight. It's about form, and it's about listening to my body. Because if you get mad sore, like you get super sore after your first workout because you overdid it, you're going to be less motivated to go back because it hurts, and it will. That's the thing. There needs to be a balance between motivation and realism in getting people started. So to anyone out there who just started their workout this year, some of it will be uncomfortable until it's not. And then you won't, and all you have to do is get to the other side of that discomfort. And eventually, and that once you get to the other side of it, like you who've been doing workouts forever and training differently and just for learning different ways to work out and all that stuff, your first back to the gym soreness is like a random memory because it's already your routine. And I think just people need to be ready for that. You're not be like, I'm not going to be 18 again, squatting 450 pounds, playing football every day. I'm not going to be that guy anymore. So my workouts have to change. I will have to adapt to different techniques and different weights and different methodologies of thinking, and with that said, there's an element of not just the body, but the mind and what the show's about too, body, mind, and community. Who you got going with you is also an important thing. Having you motivate me and be holding me accountable has also been incredibly beneficial. So, hey, if anybody is starting out now and needs somebody to send their stuff to and be like, hey, look at what I did, send it. We have an email and you can send it to our email at zerosonheroes@gmail.com.
Yeah, or hit us up on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever. Media, yeah. Be like, hey, this is what I did today.
Hey, I even if it's just, hey, I saw your show, and this is, whether we know you or not, and who knows how far this goes. Years from now, if we're still alive and haven't descended into the resource wars like Mad Max, message us, send it. Who cares? We'll be happy to. That's one of the things that I think we want to perpetuate on the show is that we are beyond the hazing of new people.
Yeah,
we are beyond the negative judgments on people who are overweight trying to lose weight. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah,
we're beyond that as a culture. I think we're beyond that. Anyone who is not in step with supporting people in their fitness journeys, run away as fast as you get away from that kind of person. Do not encourage it. And if you see it and you see it around you, call it out. Be like, hey, that's shitty behavior. Because one of the major parts of fitness is the whole reason to be fit is to live a longer life. The whole reason to live life is to build relationships with the world around you, including all the people that will be positive in your life.
Collateral benefit, baby.
Collateral benefit, baby. Last week we talked a lot about our goals for the year. But we do end every episode of our show talking about what we're planning to do this coming week for our body, our mind, and our community. Community being relationships and anything that is outside of ourselves and with the people around us or nature, maybe. So this week, we're going to start with body. We're a little bit less abstract and more kind of focused. What your goals for not 2025, but how are we starting 2025 out for this week?
This week, I am. I started doing reintroducing the thing I started when I first started doing the gym, which is like cable wood chops for like your core. And I don't know why I stopped doing it for a while. And
you're talking about like full extension cable machine.
Yeah,
twisting,
it's like a single rope attached to like midway on the cable. And then basically like you're like baseball
like
batting chopping wood, and all you do, you keep your shoulders straight, you keep them all locked in, but the only thing you're moving is your core and your waist. And man, I'm feeling it so good where it's like, oh, I feel my core and everything's tighter, and it's like, oh, my posture's better, and it's like, oh, I forgot how much this affected me. Where I'm like, almost like a New Year's resolution all over again, where I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, I'm excited about starting from scratch again.
Yeah, way back in the day when we were both New York comedians. When we were trying to do comedy, there were comedian wiffle ball tournaments.
Jake Head,
Jake Head would put together, comedian Jake Head, very funny. Jacksonville Jaguars fan. He would put together these wiffle ball games, plastic toy baseball, and I can't tell you how kind of bad it would make me feel to be like, because this is a motion I don't normally do on a daily basis. I'm not twisting and torquing my body with like a lot of force, but after like the day after the wiffle ball tournaments, all of my torso, my girdle would be fucking tight, and I'd be like, man, am I really sore from plastic toy baseball? And it's you absolutely are. So like, once again, it doesn't have to be the gym. You can just go take some cuts at a batting cage and you're going to get some muscle development. I miss the batting cage. I love batting cage.
Dude, I want to go to a batting cage so bad.
It's so fun. And with your cable chops, you'll be cranking them. I think my focus for my body this week will be diet related, ingesting the right things, because night shift, I work overnights at a hospital. So like, there's a lot of willpower that goes out the window when the sun goes down. That's like a hard thing. But I think that's going to be a big focus for me in the next this week. But also, what are the workouts that I've been doing? The Thor workout that you had sent me from Dr. Israel. That a lot of that Dorito, the lats, and I'm sorry, the lat pull down, pull up, chin up, kind of building out the big back. I think that's going to be a focus of mine. Pull-ups. I want to be able to do. I'm a heavy man. And I think that at some point I just need to focus on pull-up training, like just doing as many, negative pull-ups, whatever I got to do right now. I can't. I weigh too much. I weigh too much to be able to do it.
Speaking of Israel, he is such a proponent of assisted pull-ups. Like, he talks about how bodybuilders, powerlifters, they can't do pull-ups because of how big they are. So they use assisted pull-ups. So it's like they're like, whether it be with on the assisted pull-up machine, or they put like bands around their feet and tie it to the pull-up, and they can help them up. And it's like, man, like people like, oh, you're a sissy if you use assisted pull-ups. Like, you're getting such good form and exercise.
It's the full range. It's getting to here, because there's the arm part of it, but then there's also like the lat, the shoulders down, like whatever that muscle is. I don't know the muscle.
The lats,
the lats that pull that can get you not just to where your arms are at 90, not just where your arms are, but where you get the bar to your chin. That is all of this in your back. That to me is even if I can just go from here to here, like with my pulling, that's my goal for longer term, not just this week, but I want to start doing, even if it's like hangs or negatives or
dead hangs,
dead hang, or like that slow where you feel like you're falling off a cliff, that's a goal I have just as a heavy man, because I know that if at 6'3", 260, if I could bang out some pull-ups in front of people, it would be super impressive. But also my back would get like really massive. So I have my shoulders are plenty big. I just need my lats. I need my lats to match.
That's a great goal. That's a good goal, man.
For the mind, do you have anything for your mind? What are you gonna do? When are you gonna get your mind right? What are you gonna get your mind right?
Mind right? What do we got here? I got my therapy on Wednesday, which is a good thing. I suggest everybody does therapy. I only do it like once a month now. I used to do it like once a week. And now she's like,
amazing how that happens. They eventually find a way.
It's funny how so many people are like resistant to like therapy and psychiatry, and they're like, oh no, they just want to make money and they want you to come all the time. It's like, both my therapist and my psychiatrist are like, my therapist is like, we should do it like once a month. And my psychiatrist is like, hey, let's reduce your meds down. And it's like, this is the opposite of what everybody said was going to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, when it comes to that sort of like mental health, or at least there's a lot of toxic. Don't go to BetterHelp. There's a lot of toxicity in the pseudo psychology world, the pop psychology world. There's so much self-diagnosis. There's so much like expectation. There's a lot, but the real work of it is literally just what you bring to the table. And eventually, once you get past certain kind of initial barriers and you learn your where your blind spots have been,
Yeah.
eventually it's just like, all right, well, let's just talk about what we need to talk about. How, like I had a difficult situation. Okay, well, let's like wean you off, that's a very real thing. I don't think people talk about
Yeah, one time
enough.
my therapist was like, oh, yeah, so what do you want to talk about today? And I was like, well, I guess this kind of annoying thing happened to me on this day. And she was like, you can also talk about good things. And I was
What?
like, oh yeah, I forgot that
Yes,
you don't need to
dude,
go to
that is such a thing
I was like trying to find something to be like,
to like
this
bitch
made me
about.
mad or whatever.
Yes,
And she was like, you
yes.
can also just say what happened, cool thing happened to you this month.
Yeah, at a certain point, like I talk about it with my therapist now. We talk every 2 weeks, and I use it almost like a if this then that machine. Like something happened in the last week, that means if that happened, then I'm gonna do this week. Like to motivate some sort of action, to motivate some sort. That's the thing, is that I'm a big believer in like once you know something, you're responsible for knowing it. So it has to motivate an action. Like the
Yeah.
second I have diabetes, that has to motivate action. Some
Yeah.
change has to motivate. So I'm a big proponent of that. I think that's like one of those like lightning or epiphany moments when they tell you like, you don't have to complain about it. You can talk about that. I had one of my old therapists tell me that exact same thing. It's like, well, what good happened? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't have to be a big sticky black cloud all the time. I could choose to
You
look
can be
at
like
bright.
Buddy the Elf and be like, good news, I saw a dog. And
Yes. Like the world's greatest coffee. That's like, oh man,
hey,
you did it. Congratulations. Like you could just choose to like you could choose to highlight that in the
yeah.
session as opposed to just being like, well, let me make something up. No. This is good. It's very interesting. I think for me, for the week coming up, I want to try and play some music. That's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be, that's something that when I was traveling for December, went to visit some family in France, and everyone in my family, there's like every pocket of my family has musical people in it. So I was sitting, one of my cousin's husband in, cousin-in-law, what do you call him? He was showing me this amp that he bought with his guitar, and I was just playing along, and it was one of those things where I hadn't played along to a song in a long time. Like I just pick a guitar, start dicking around or whatever, but I hadn't played a song from start to finish in a while. It was Everlong, that Foo Fighters
Oh
song.
yeah. It's a good song.
And it was one of those that as we were playing, I was like, oh, I kind of remember how it goes, but then my brain locked in.
Oh yeah.
When you all of a sudden your brain does something before you actively think about it. Like, and I was like, oh, I was like, oh, I don't know what chord comes next. And my body just did it instinctually. Like it just remembered in the context.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, right. And then I was all of a sudden I don't know how long I was up there playing the guitar. But at a certain point, my wife texted me, like, hey, we got to go in 10 minutes. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, okay. Because I got locked in, or whatever you call the flow state or whatever it was.
In the zone,
whatever you want to call it, man. I was like, oh man, what a cool feel. I hadn't felt it in a minute. And so I think I'm going to try, like I felt it a lot in that moment of playing the guitar. And I'm like, oh, I got to figure out how to get that for myself again. It was a nice high to chase, that didn't involve ingesting any calories, alcohol, illicit substances. It was just like a weird, like mental high in that sense. So like, yeah, let me try that again. That was super fun.
You ever think about joining like a jam band?
I think about, friends of Zeros on Heroes know Alex Murray and Brendan Gillett. We started a band in New York before I moved. And we jammed. We would get a rehearsal space and we would go jam and all that stuff. We wrote a couple songs. We were doing all kinds of fun stuff. All my songs were about Marvel comics. Like I wrote a song called about the Incredible Hulk. I wrote a song about Jean Grey. We wrote a song about It like a lot of it was just fun to do, and I want to recapture that. That was a lot of I want to playing music with other people is. I'll go first with community. Maybe that's our solution too. like a community of like incorporating it all together. Because I'll tell you what, man, there's something very special about playing music with other people. I don't think you can get that exact feeling in any other way.
Yeah.
I played team sports a lot when I was young, and I've been in martial arts classes, and I was in the fire academy with people. I've been a paramedic with people and all that stuff. And there's, those are plenty of different teams that I've had in my life, coworkers, whatever. I've never really had, like, playing music with people is its own kind of unique thing. So maybe I will join a jam band.
Yeah.
Maybe I will.
Go online, go on Facebook.
Hey, man, I'm not good,
Craigslist.
but I'm motivated. Just like anyone whose New Year's resolution was to start the gym this year, you're not good, but you're motivated, man. You're ahead of the game, dude.
Yeah.
I would rather have somebody who is like, it's at work, right? If somebody is fun to be around and trying, I would rather work with them than someone who knows their shit but is just a dick and complains all the time, right? Like, if you're motivated and if you go, like, to keep it about fitness, if you go to the gym, or if you start a fitness class, or you go to CrossFit, or you go to a boot camp or whatever, and you can't do one push-up, but you're like, but you tell them, like, hey man, I'm just starting out. If you preface it, man, I'm just starting out and I'm not going to be good at this right away, but bear with me. Please help me whatever way I can. And I promise I'm going to try as hard as I can. You know how many people are going to be like, great. Yes, exactly. Come on. Like, I feel like that's an important lesson too. Yeah. What about you? What about you for community?
I think I'm actually starting a class at my trade union, and it's a carpentry class, and
hell
yeah. And so I think what I'll do is, instead of doing what I usually do when I go to some sort of community event like that, or annex or whatever it is, I'll talk to people. Usually I just sit there and...
Usually I sit quietly in the back of the room like some creepy weirdo, pretending I'm Aragorn Strider in the Prancing Pony Inn.
I wish it was that.
And smoking a pipe.
I think it was that thing where I like revert back to when I was a kid, where I was a shy little, doesn't say anything in class and just sits there and like a good little boy. And but I think maybe I'll introduce myself to people and say, hey, how you doing? What's your name? What's your deal? What's your story?
Yeah, get real aggressive with it.
Hey, what's your fucking deal?
What's your deal, man? What the fuck is up with this? Why are you here? No, there is something, man. It's all, I think, being the icebreaker person in any group scenario is such an like a skill, such an art of being the hi everybody, being the one to like just say hello and break the ice, of being the like, hey, we're all gonna learn carpentry, huh? Or the only real danger is you'll end up like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber, where he walks out of the 7-Eleven, he's like, hey, big gulps, right? All right. And that's like the worst that can happen. They just don't react. So you can be like, hey everybody.
I think the worst thing can happen in this circumstance is if I was like, hey, we're taking a carpentry class, right? And the other person's like, you know who else was a carpenter? Jesus Christ. Our Lord and Savior. Do you have a few moments? And I'm like, God damn it. Oh, no.
All right. Well, you know what? You know who had great abs? Jesus on the cross. I mean, I don't want to dismount of the episode talking about Jesus's abs on the cross, but everyone has
cum gutters.
Oh man, if we titled episodes, that would be the episode. Jesus's cum gutters. 'Tis the season to be jolly. That
would also be a cool band name.
Will, you think you've just cracked the code for me here?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Jesus and the Cum Gutters.
Jesus. Oh man, I will be thinking about that for the rest of the week. Thank you everybody if you made it through the episode and you're joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. This sort of thing. You can follow us at all the social media accounts at Zeros on Heroes. We're on YouTube. We're streaming live right now. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We are live right now. you can get in the comments and you can ask questions and we will answer them. Otherwise, we would do this every week, even if no one was watching, because we find it enjoyable for us to just talk about this stuff, and it reaffirms things for us, man. We learn new things about each other. We learn new things about ourselves, like how interested I am in a band called Jesus is Cum Gutters. And what songs would they write? But yeah, we would do this if nobody was watching. We do this when no one's watching. You should see our text chains. It's just filled with like memes and fitness advice, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it's all about. Comic book movies and how to get the peak on the bicep. You know,
I'm gonna send you text messages like, "Hey man, let's do a body and blood, bread and wine."
Let's start bread and wine diet all week. Let's just do that. Let's see how we get. Let's see what are the macros on the body of Christ. Oh man. But yes, what were we doing? The dismount. Thank you everybody for watching. You can follow us at Mike Mercadal and at William A. Watkins. I'm sorry,
William A. Watkins.
Full government name. William A. Watkins. You can email us any fitness or questions or anything you want about questions you have about improving your body, mind, or community, or things that you've done to improve your body, mind, and community. Share with us. Share with the class. Maybe we could benefit from that.
Yeah. Or potential song titles.
Or potential song titles for Jesus' Cum Gutters. zerosonheroes@gmail.com, and you can send us all that stuff. Yeah. Again, thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And we're looking good.
Hey, I'm just trying to look like you, man.
Just trying to look like you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Remember to go out and be